back to the Public Figures Podcast. I'm your host, Rob Jabaz, and this is my ever-faithful co-host, Johnny Ryan.
Hello.
Yes. I've always wanted to ask you, Johnny, what was your first job?
Just like paper route, maybe?
Oh, right. Yeah, that doesn't count. Like, I'm talking like a job where you have to clock in somewhere and
A grocery store?
just like stocking shelves?
Bagging groceries, shit like that. I was probably like 17.
Oh, wow. You didn't have a job until you were 17?
Well, I mean, other than the paper route.
You were delivering papers when you were 16?
Maybe. I think so. I mean, I can't remember the exact years I was doing it. It might have been earlier. Like maybe like 13, 14.
Okay. I remember having a job at a place that did like metal installations, like ducts and industrial countertops and stuff. And I just had to kind of help out there. Most of my time was spent just sweeping floors, and it sucked. It was in the summertime, and it was in a big warehouse, and it was so fucking hot. And you had to wear coveralls because there's so much, the possibility of sparks and stuff. So you had to like cover your skin. So it was crazy hot and it sucked.
Like romantic sparks?
Yeah. Like the sparks between me and a Portuguese man who worked there. I remember that. I think that I'm not sure.
You have to be protected from that.
You do. I remember that song, like the movie Evita, where Madonna plays
Evita
came out. So there's that. They kept those guys, those not Argentinian guys, those Portuguese guys would always be working, and then all of a sudden you just hear from across the warehouse some guy go, "Don't cry for me, Argentina!" Like they would just kind of bust out with that one line, like often. And whenever I hear that song, or I'm reminded of that film, I always think of that job and have mixed feelings. There's also my first experience with a food truck or a roach coach, as you call it. I have fond memories of those as well. And also there were these two Rottweilers.
Working at a roach coach or eating at the roach coach when you were working at the warehouse?
No, eating at it and looking forward to it, because they had like certain drinks, like Hawaiian
Yoo-hoo.
punch and stuff. No, not Yoo-hoo. Yoo-hoo's not really something you get in Canada ever.
At least growing up, even as a kid, Yoo-hoo was, I think it was a fairly regional drink. We didn't have it in Massachusetts.
Did you have? I think it might have been like a Crush product, or maybe not. I could probably look it up. But it was called like Tutti Frutti, not Tutti Frutti, but Tutti Frutti.
Yeah, we didn't have that.
Hold on, let me see if I can look that up. Tutti Frutti drink.
That sounds like a slur.
Yeah. For what? Like a gay Jamaican man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A transsexual Jamaican.
Oh, Christ. Maybe I'm fucking misremembering it. Oh, anyways, you guys down in the comments below, you can tell us how much you hated us talking about.
Call in.
Yeah. So what are we talking about today? I'll tell you what we're not talking about today. We're not talking about Betty Blue. Everyone was looking forward to our discussion on Betty Blue, but
we have to do more research.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do it this time around. It's funny. A lot of people commented on the last episode, like maybe, I don't know, 7 people or something, and a lot
What
of
did we
them
do
were,
last time? Dard divorce? Was that one?
yeah, it was Dard. Well, I mean, they didn't comment on Dard divorce. They commented on just on us saying that we were going to do Betty Blue and being like, oh yeah, talk
Okay.
about Betty Blue. But then again, I also said, if you want us to talk about redneck zombies, then say that you want us to talk about Betty Blue. And if you want us to talk about Betty Blue, then say that you want us to talk about redneck zombies. So I actually
okay.
don't know like what they want at all. But the point is that today we're talking about redneck zombies and the Centerfold girls,
Right.
as you can plainly see in the thumbnail.
Yeah, don't forget to look at the thumbnail.
Well, yeah, I mean that's why they clicked that beautiful public
That's called
figures podcast
It's
thumbnail.
called clickbait.
That's right.
Clickbait 101.
That's right. Internet 101. Yeah, fuck. All right. Well, you know what? We should also talk about a couple other things. First of all, you finally saw the finished product of the film that you worked on called "The Day the Earth Blew Up."
That's right.
And how did that go?
It went fine.
Oh yeah. Did
Yeah.
they have some nice, like, was it like a whole event? Like, were there hors d'oeuvres and things?
Well, yeah, food. There was food trucks. Speaking of food trucks, they had a couple of food trucks.
Oh yeah. What was good? What was on the menu?
They had a jerk chicken food truck, and then they had like a dumpling food truck. They
Dumpling?
had free liquor.
Dumplings, like Chinese dumplings.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
They gave us all T-shirts and mugs, stickers.
What kind of like just an open bar? Like you could ask for anything you want, or was it just like
Yeah, it was open bar.
nice? Did you get loaded or what?
I had a little bit of a buzz going. I wish they gave me those drinks before I saw the movie, though.
Oh, hey!
No, that was a joke. Calm down.
No, he meant it. He everybody out there. He hated it. He hated his own movie. No, just
My movie. I like this is my movie.
Well, it has your name on it. Remember that it was on. I got so excited when I saw it, like the TV screen, because it's on it shows up on the TV. Your name, remember? I was just like, there he is! Oh my God, he's famous. Did Susie go with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell me about your impressions of the film?
Well, I mean, I did my just a single pass on the script very early on, and I was trying to, like, the script was feeling fairly Pixar to me, and I was trying to make it more Looney Tunes.
And when you say Pixar, you're not talking about the look. You're talking about like the story.
The story, just very much about, it's very action adventure-y, very, about friendship, and I was trying to undercut a lot of that with jokes. I mean, that's sort of what Looney Tunes does, and I don't get the sense that they really used anything that I wrote. I didn't notice anything that I wrote on the screen. That said, it's okay. I feel like it is a little too action adventure-y. I do wish that there were more jokes like in the traditional Looney Tunes cartoons, but I still feel like it's probably still more fun than, like, the regular kids fare that you see in the movie theaters today, as far as, like, just a movie that was made for laughs.
There you go. Glowing review from Johnny Ryan. So everyone get out and watch The Day the Earth Blew Up in theaters, I believe, this month in March.
March 14th it comes out.
March 14th. You get to see Johnny Ryan really flex his muscles on this one.
Yeah, I wish. I actually, like, as I'm watching it, I'm feeling like I was thinking like all the jokes I could have put in this if they just let me just give it to me and let me do it.
Yeah.
And they did.
Yeah.
That's all I can say.
Yep. Well, it could be a lot worse. I mean, you got a few free drinks out of it and some dumplings.
Yeah, I got some dumplings. Got a couple free drinks and some dumplings and some jerk chicken.
There you go. What else is going on? Have you seen any good movies lately?
Yeah, actually, I've seen a couple, but I don't think that they'd be up your alley.
Oh, right. They're too intellectual.
Well, they're black and white, and you hate that.
Oh, God. I hate black and white films. See, the way I see it, like once you got silent films, right? And then once you introduce speaking, all silent films become obsolete. Then after that, you got yourself color films. And then after, once that happens, black and white, completely obsolete. Mm-hmm. You follow this line of logic down the line. The way I see it now is that the only films that I'm willing to watch are films where old actors are having their faces de-aged with AI. So
also movies with straight people, like those are old-fashioned movies. Now movies with gay people, movies with straight people are now obsolete. Now it's just movies with gay people.
Well, no, because if you're an actor, you're gay. So like movies have always been only gay people.
But they were secretly gay. Now they're full on out screaming.
Yeah, I think we're talking more about like maybe transgender people. That if there's like what do you call that? Like a person who was born a man or a person who was born a woman, and they're playing that sex.
Like Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah, like that's really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about things like Mrs. Doubtfire. I'm talking about
or Tootsie.
Tootsie. I mean, we're talking
Joanna Man.
We're talking Joanna Man. We're talking Bosom Buddies.
Just One of the Boys.
Just One of the Boys. Fantastic film. Wonderful film.
Boys Don't Cry.
Boys Don't Cry. Well, I don't know. That's getting a little arty for me. I mean, usually I like a film that has a musical number. A little dance sequence. That Boys Don't Cry isn't really one of those. But Mrs. Doubtfire is probably a pretty good sort of bedrock to lay. But
I've also watched like a couple of good like Hong Kong action movies, but I'm not even 100% sure if you like those.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, by coincidence, I rewatched Fist of Legend last night, and
that's a great movie.
It's okay. I think that I like Ming. I think I like Ming Dynasty films rather than Qing Dynasty. Qing Dynasty is like, when you have modern uniforms and there's, we're talking like in America at that same time period in America, it would have been like, the beginning of industrialization and stuff. Whereas I like my favorite Jet Li film is probably Tai Chi Master.
That's a great one too.
Yeah,
love
like
that one.
That I like that stuff. And I like when there's sort of an element of like magic. Like here's the thing: is when you introduce like the Industrial Revolution into kung fu films, it kind of ruins the mystical magic elements of kung fu.
So you don't like Jackie Chan's Police trilogy?
No, that's different though, because for me those aren't kung fu movies; those are stunt movies. Like Jackie Chan fights and stuff, but I mean, they're like, for example, Police Story. I always think of that sequence where they're driving that car like down that hill, down that village,
through that village.
And it's just completely amazing. And then also like that, all that stuff that's happening on the bus, like on the roof of the bus. Right. There's so much stuff.
But the fighting in the mall at the end is so good.
Sure.
When he slides down that whole electrical penis.
Yeah, like that kind of stuff is good. And then you have your sort of Chow Yun Fat sort of stuff, which is not really, there is fighting.
That's more what do they call that?
Bullet battle.
Heroic bloodshed, they call it.
Is that what they call it? I thought the term was bullet ballet, the John Woo thing. Maybe I've never liked that term though. It sounds gay.
I've heard
ballet.
I've heard heroic bloodshed.
Yeah, but in any case, like as far as just straight kung fu goes, I like it when it's top ponytail type shit. And
Yeah, it for me it just I don't think I have I'm not inclined one way or the other. For me, it's just like how good is the story and how good is the fighting. I've seen completely boring, those wushu period kung fu movies that just have like really Byzantine plots, and they're like I'm trying to remember the name of the director who did. God damn it!
what's the movie?
The director who did Raise the Red Lantern, and then he sort of like he was originally like doing like a lot of these, like heavy Chinese melodramas.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. That's Zhang Yimou.
That sounds right. Yeah, that's right. And then he stopped doing those, and he started doing like these really fancy, like kung fu ballet type movies that are not like they're very like arty and
Like Hero. Like Zhang Yimou famously did Hero with Jet Li.
okay. And then he did one with that girl from I'm like
Crouching
blanking
Tiger?
on Crouching Tiger.
That one's House of Flying Daggers.
Yeah, it's just very, very disappointing. I just remember being bored, disappointed. Those weren't great. So for me, it just depends. It depends on who the director is, how good the story is, how good the fighting is. And for me, Fist of Legend has that fight between Jet Li and the Japanese commander. Fucking great.
Like at the end where he's in the uniform, when the commander's in the uniform. Yeah. I mean, it's all great in terms of choreography and stuff, but
I like those. Like, I think I've seen the first two Ip Man movies. I don't know if I've seen the other four or whatever.
I haven't seen any of those.
The first two are really good, or at least the first one I remember being good.
Fair enough. I just have a hard time getting behind. What's his name? Donnie Yen.
Oh, Donnie Yen is in like one of my favorite Hong Kong movies, like period movies, which is Iron Monkey. Did you ever see Iron Monkey?
I don't think so.
He's not the main in it, but man, that's a great fucking movie. Great kung fu movie.
Speaking of Iron Monkey, I saw The Monkey recently.
Is that the Robbie Robertson movie?
Yeah, it's by
where he plays a monkey.
Yeah, it's by Robbie Robertson, starring.
Is that his name, Robbie Robertson?
I don't know what you're talking about at all.
Don't you know like there's some musician who's like he made a movie about his life and he's played by a CGI monkey?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. That's Robbie Williams.
Robbie Williams,
the British singer guy. No, that's it, and that's called like what? Something Man, Primitive Man, Monkey Man. No, there's a movie with a.
Oh, this is the other monkey movie by Osgood Williams.
Yeah, that's right. Your favorite guy, Robbie Williams, Osgood Williams,
Vanessa
Serena Williams. Yeah, Vanessa Williams, of course. I'm just going to take about 10 seconds just to say that movie's really, really terrible. It's embarrassing. And
how does it stand up to the other classic Longlegs?
It's like it's worse because because at least like in Longlegs there's 20 minutes where you're kind of you're kind of thinking it might
On
be
board.
good. Yeah, you're kind of like, okay, this
Before
is all right.
before you're completely disappointed.
There's actually, when we trashed Long Legs last time on the last show, I was trying to, I never said it, but I was trying to compare it to this one. I think it was, now I can't remember again. Fuck. I think it might have been Four Flies on Grey Velvet. Like there's like a scene in Four Flies on Grey Velvet where the house that this one person is being kind of stalked in, like someone's outside the house and they're inside the house, and just the wood paneling of the walls and just the quality of the windows. Like there's a lot of window area on the walls, and it reminded me of the house that rather the other way around, the house in Long Legs where that woman lives. I was thinking, like, because I rewatched Four Flies on Grey Velvet afterwards, and I was like, oh, that's where the guy probably got that idea, just to kind of get that sort of that kind of spatial idea of kind of someone being able to see you, but like you can't see them. And I don't know, there was that part of that movie of Long Legs was kind of like, oh, I like this, and then I rewatched one of an actually good movie, and I'm like, oh, okay, the one part of the movie that I thought was actually clever, he just kind of picked up from a far better movie. But yeah, The Monkeys is terrible. I'm not even going to really dignify it by like discussing it any further. It's just very, very cynical. It manages somehow to be cynical and also like pretentious at the same time.
Right.
Like it's very cynically made, but at the same time, he also manages to be just very full of himself. And then
and that's also kind of the vibe that Longlegs gives. It's sort of like you feel like the work feels like this is important, like this is on the same level as Silence of the Lambs or any other great serial killer movie, and it's just the production it's very pretentious production and approach, and just the story was written by somebody who might be retarded.
Yeah. He really does seem like. I mean, there's also sort of these little funny, like for example, on the box that the monkey comes in, it says something like organ grinder monkey. And then beneath it, in parentheses, it says, like life. And then the brother goes like, don't you think, like, isn't that, or the brother says, you mean life like retard? And then the guy, the good brother is like, no, it says like life, and it's like, Osgood Parkins was sitting there at his fucking computer, and he was like, oh, what if we take lifelike and we switch around the two words? And then this monkey that kind of just randomly kills people, it's like life. Like he's trying to say something profound, right. And it's just like, dude, cut it out. You're not that guy. You don't have a profound bone in your body. But anyways, let's get on to some other movies, the ones that we're going to focus on this week on your favorite podcast. Let's start with the one that you suggested, which was the Centerfold Girls.
Sure.
The thing what Johnny told me that kind of made me want to watch the film. Did it make me want to watch the film? I don't know. I probably would have watched it anyways. We're running out of movies these days. But the thing that you said was, it's what you wanted Hollywood 90028 or 24
right.
to be.
I don't know. 24 maybe.
I don't know. You're the guy who lives there. Hollywood. Let's just make sure
they're both those zip codes exist. So.
That's true. I was right the first time. Hollywood 90028.
Right.
Right off the bat, I will say that I preferred Hollywood 90028, but I see what you're saying. Go ahead and tell us about Centerfold Girls.
Centerfold Girls is there's a serial killer who is targeting girls that have posed nude in nude magazines.
Let me cut you off. Uh-huh. What kind of film is it?
What do you mean?
Like what kind of film? Like what is the format of this film?
Format?
Yeah, the storytelling
Oh, okay.
format.
Well, it's sort of told. It's almost like Pulp Fiction-y, where it's like told in chapters.
It's an anthology.
So each
Don't you agree that it's an anthology?
it's an anthology, but it's not like each story isn't its own separate story, like in the way that Creepshow is. The stories are connected by the killer.
It's an anthology in the way that Kinds of Kindness is an anthology.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, okay. Well, if you did, you'd be like, you're right.
Yeah, that's right on the you hit the nail on the head.
That's right. You hit the nail on the money.
So it's told in 3 different chapters. Each one is the killer targeting a particular girl who was posed nude in a girly magazine, and he wants to kill them. So there's 3 girls that are targeted, and then the first girl is she's a nurse, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So she's a nurse, and he's the killer is calling her, making obscene phone calls. He's played by this actor Andrew Prine.
Sounds about right.
And so he's targeting this girl. He's sort of following her, and she wants to get away she's like taking a little holiday. Oh no, I remember now. She's going to check on a job. She's going to a camp, like a kids camp, and there's a job there for a nurse. So she's going all the way up. It's all the way up in the woods to go and check out this job opportunity. On the way to the job, she runs into this girl who looks very upset and very sad. She's saying that her boyfriend stood her up or something. So she offers this girl a ride and brings her up to the camp. And then when she goes to the camp to look for the job, I guess the person who interviews the nurses isn't there that day. So she's got to spend the night in this town. And she is going to stay at her parents' place or some relative's place. And she's still got this girl in tow. And the girl that she has in tow, the one that she gave a lift to, is actually part of a sort of a Manson family group that suddenly barges into her house. And
well, hold on a second. Let me just come in there and say that the two. This is okay. First of all, this is the best of the anthologies. Like of the stories told, this is the one that I like the most.
Yeah, it might be my favorite as well.
It's the most interesting, and it's also kind of the most like scary because that girl really does everything right. You know, like there's nothing. Even the audience is in support of this. This sort of girl that she picks up. This kind of like sad, very sweet kind of hippie girl that she picks up in the. Just by chance, and she hey, why don't you come? We got plenty of space at my house or whatever. So she goes and she takes her over there, and they're playing cards, and everything seems good. And you do catch a glimpse of the Manson family analogs at one point, and you're like, uh-oh, something's going on here. But you still kind of are like, yeah, but she's this girl that she's picked up. She's nice, she doesn't seem evil or underhanded. But then the next thing you know. They follow them up to that house, and then they just bust in and they just, start playing their weird fucking hippie music.
Yeah,
and,
it's like Cat in the Hat. They just come right in, they take over, they start playing their games, their hippie games. They start playing their loud hippie music, and singing their hippie songs and getting drunk, and two of them are clearly lesbian, I would say, right?
I don't know what that means.
What do you think it means?
They're lesbians?
They're of the lesbian persuasion, and so our heroine is getting sort of manhandled and molested by these people. There's like one Charlie Manson looking dude in a poncho, and the two lesbian girls, and then the original girl too, and they're just like having a big party in the house, and really taking advantage of this girl and throwing her around and jumping all over her. And I don't know if they ever actually make full penetration with her.
They never do.
But they definitely try. But we also should say that even before the home invasion by the Manson family, when the girl goes to inquire about her job at the camp, there's a husband and wife there who seem to be kind of caretakers of the camp, and the husband, played by the great Aldo Ray, is sort of eyeballing this girl, and because he later on, I'm trying to get all this in order. So eventually the girl is able to escape from the house, escape from the Manson family. She makes it back to the camp. She goes to she goes to the camp. The husband and wife are there, and they call the cops. And
the Manson family they end up getting away. We don't see them again. They steal her car. Cadillac. Yeah, they steal her Cadillac convertible. So they're just kind of like, driving down the highway, off screen, like, they're just kind of gone, and they're partying. They're on their way to Vegas or something. And
so the girl, the heroine of the story, is stuck. She can't go anywhere. She can't leave. The cops start inquiring what's going on, but the woman at the camp, who's I guess the caretaker's wife or whatever, she doesn't like this attractive woman being even here at the camp, because she can already tell that her husband is eyeballing this hot Centerfold girl. So, but he's sort of playing. He's very much playing like this white knight character who's I'm gonna help you. Let me take you back home, and he takes her back home, and the house is trashed from the hippies. And, at first he does seem very sort of nice, but then he quickly turns and he wants sex. So he begins the raping process, but
he begins the raping process.
But she's so beaten down that she doesn't even resist. And so this turns him off.
Yep.
And he's just like, fuck this. This sucks. You're not resisting.
Yeah, he goes, even the most whatever you call it, like even the most whorish Main Street slut puts up more of a fight than this. If it's this easy, baby, it ain't worth it.
So he just says, forget it, and he leaves. And then she's just like lying in her destroyed house, weeping. And then that's when our killer finally shows up and pretends to be a nice neighbor who wants to help her out. And I don't know why she seems to believe him. She seems at first like kind of like unsure, but eventually he kind of wins her over. And then he says a particular phrase that she, I think, remembers from one of his obscene phone calls, and she recognizes his voice, and that's when he slits her throat.
Right. So that's the end of the first segment of our anthology.
What I did like about this is how I like I just liked how dark it was. How like there was no everybody in it was a piece of shit.
Yeah. And that's why I liked about it as well. It's very never lets that girl off the hook.
Right.
The only thing you could say to that end is that she actually doesn't get raped, and indeed there are there is at least one rape that happens in this film in a different segment, but but what I liked about it most, in addition to the darkness of it, was also that it really does feel like this could happen to anyone. You know, it has that kind of that sort of Eden Lake quality, where it's like the characters that are getting brutalized really do everything right. You know, their only mistake is that they're just too kind and willing to be good people. So like the moral of the story of this is just never trust anyone, and always just be aware that everyone is working an angle. You know, the meanness. I mean, there is sort of a certain delight I take in kind of carefully applied sadism in a film, and the fact just to see that old guy, what's his name, Alan Aldo or whatever. What was the name of the actor?
Aldo Ray.
Aldo Ray. Just to see him, because I really was kind of, he's kind of just being the same way that my dad would be, you know, just kind of like, hey, check her out, you know, kind of bugging the wife a little bit. Yeah, she's not too bad, you know, and you're kind of like, yeah, okay. But then when you do see him taking care of her later, you're kind of like, okay, this is a good guy. But then later in the house, he's just kind of like, come on, I think we both know why we're here, you know. And she's like, what? You know, and it's like, what a fucking asshole. Because like,
but this is what I like. This is almost like a Lars von Trier story. Just like this heroine is just like thrown into this awful world of people.
Hey, it's LA, baby.
Taking advantage of her, and it's good.
Yeah. So I mean that first segment is quite good, and you know we're, you know, for the time it takes to talk about each segment. I mean, you know, like I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze here. You know, I think we got to kind of blast through these other two.
The second one. That was my least favorite one, and there's probably not a lot to say about it other than...
I had to rewatch it this morning because I just forgot what it was about. And let me tell you what it's about. It's just about these group of, like sort of magazine photo shoot people that take a boat to a house that's on an island with no electricity, and they're followed there by the killer who manages to get on the boat, to kind of hijack the boat when it comes back to the mainland. And while they're up there, there's a little bit of a drama because the person who's in charge of the photo shoot is a woman. And then I guess sort of, who's that guy? Is he like their agent, or is he kind of the girl? He is the guy who's managing the girls, right? He's the one who's kind of...
I guess, like... I think
because the older woman, like the one in charge, the ballbuster woman, she's there's a lot of friction between, or there seems to be a history between them that. But also, she accuses him of being a pimp, which is, you know, I kind of put two and two together and just take that as like, okay, he's an agent. He's an agent, or he's a manager, or he's some sort of representation for these poor naive girls.
But
who don't know how to
I feel like
themselves.
there is a scene where one of the girls approaches him, and it does seem like there's an aspect to what he does that might be like in addition to like he subsidizes his agent work with some pimping on the side. Like he does kind of like maybe like introduces models to men for sex.
No, I don't think so. I think that she was talking about introducing them to, like, you know, high powered execs and stuff. She's not like, oh, please make me into a whore. She's like, please make me into a star. Like she wants to be introduced not to just random guys to have sex with in the context of a prostitute scenario.
But it's sort of like in the sense of like, oh, let me introduce me to this guy so I can fuck that guy so he can give me the part in that movie or something
Right.
like that. Like
So that's what I'm saying. It's not
Right.
the ultimate goal is to be a star, not to be some kind of high paid prostitute.
right.
But in any case, so this goes on, and this guy gets pussy from this one young girl, and then there's some there's some conversation with the other one who's kind of a little more street smart or something, and is able to evade his advances. Then killer shows up and starts killing everybody. Yeah, kills.
Ultimately, it just kind of has like a very traditional sort of old dark house vibe. There's a killer in the house, and they're isolated, and who's the killer? Where is he? And it was. I mean, I didn't dislike it. It just, it's stuff. It's probably something you've seen before.
Seen before and seen better.
Yeah, it was just whatever, and there's nudity in it, so to keep you interested.
Yeah, moving right along, we get to segment 3, the final segment.
But the third segment, I did like a lot as well.
I liked it. I liked it more than the second one, but definitely not more than the first.
I like that actress a lot.
Do you recognize her, or do you just like her from this?
She's in another movie that I like called Bonnie's Kids.
Okay.
Which, if you haven't seen, it's worth seeing. It's sort of like in the same. It actually, like, after I didn't investigate, but it made, like, I was actually thinking, like, is this the same director as Bonnie's Kids? I don't know. But I like that actress. And again, I did like how dark this segment was. I liked how she gets, like, she's running from the killer, and her car breaks down, and she gets sort of rescued by a couple of sailors.
Yep.
Who are initially, it seemed like, oh, nice sailors, but then, like, it's revealed pretty quickly that they have motives to run train on her.
Well, I mean, when's the last time that a sailor showed up in a movie and they were actually good? Like, when's literally the last time that you saw that? I'd say never. I mean,
Last Detail.
I don't know what that is.
The Jack Nicholson movie, Last Detail, with Randy Quaid.
Is it like a sailor movie?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't count. Like, if it's a sailor movie, then it's like, the Hunt for Red October, for example, doesn't count. Like,
well, it doesn't. It doesn't take place on a boat, but they're sailors who are. I'm trying to remember now. Like, they're bringing Randy Quaid. Like, Randy Quaid has gone, like, AWOL or something, and they have to, like, bring him back.
Okay, look. What I'm talking about is like a movie that's about kind of, just some sort of urban drama, and then sailors show up, like, and then, like, as
like,
you know,
what, like,
in this, like, in Last Stop, what's it called? Last Stop in Brooklyn, or Last Stop to Brooklyn, the one where
Last Exit to Brooklyn.
Last Exit to Brooklyn. Like, I mean, do you remember how, like, there are those sailors that in the beginning that are just shit disturbers, and then, like, the street punks beat them up? Like, that's usually what your sailers are doing. Like, they're just causing trouble.
They're getting their fucking shit kicked out of them.
Well, I mean, in that case, like, they're just our main characters are these fucking New York City fucking scumbags, and things are fine, and then the drunken sailors show up, and they're just like, hey, you know what, fuck you, fucking, you greaser fucking guinea, and then all of a sudden it's this big fight. Like, I'm talking about just a movie that's not a sailor movie, that's about sailors. I'm talking about them showing
You're getting
up.
very, very specific.
I'm not getting very specific. It's like
very specific type of sailor movie.
It's like every time a Mormon shows up in the movie, they're always treated like a dork, and you're like, well, what about the Book of Mormon? And I'm like, well, that's about about Mormons. Or what about what about a movie that was actually made by, like, the fucking Church of Latter-day Saints? I was like, well, of course, yeah, it's not going to be that movie's not going to portray them in that way. But whenever you have something where it's just like there's a movie that's going on, and then all of a sudden you get some random characters come in and they're sailors. It's kind of like there's a movie going on and it's not a biker movie, but then like bikers show up. The bikers are not gonna be good people. They're gonna be automatically villains, you know. All this to say, hold on, John, just hold on a second. So when these sailors show up in this fucking wood-paneled station wagon to help this girl with a busted tire, right off the bat, I know they're up to no good. And as soon as you see that flask of whiskey come up from below the bottom of the window, that guy's drinking, it's like, okay, these guys are going to at least attempt to rape her. Yeah.
But the thing is like after that first chapter, all your like you've already been through the ringer, so you know if it was a station wagon filled with grandmas, you would already be suspicious that, okay, what's going to happen here? Like, what are these grandmas up to? So I don't think that you could have been presented with any stereotype and been like, oh, okay, these guys will help, or these people will help. But
it's not like it's not like the illusion of you know them being helpful is held up for very long, even if if it is held up at all. But
even the fact that they're presented to us like, okay, and we're sort of like, these guys are bad news. There's still this feeling that we automatically we're not sort of like, oh, she's going to get it. Like, the question is raised, is like, what's going to happen? Is she going to, like, she's already like stepped out of the frying pan into another frying pan. Mm-hmm. Is she going to get out of this? Is she going to be able to, get away from these sailors before they're able to do what they are planning on doing? And the fact that not only do they fully succeed in their plan, it's kind of like that they really, I don't know, it felt like they were really pushing it. Like, they really sort of like they slip some drugs in her drink and she drinks it, and then she's getting all fucked up, and then she can't resist, and then they like lead her into the motel, and then they're like they take you almost to the very point of like, okay, let's jump on top of her and rape her now. And then they cut away. The fact that the movie went that far, I thought was fairly impressive.
Yeah. What's funny too is that like they put some sort of drug in her drink, but then they just kind of hang out with her until she starts to feel the negative effects of that drug, kind of like the sick feeling effects of that drug. So it's like, she would have been willing and inviting for, even though it is under she is under the effects of these drugs. But instead of like just taking that opportunity, they end up just waiting for her to feel like sick and shitty. Like, they basically wait for her. They basically wait for her to be like, in a situation where she doesn't enjoy it, and then that's when they both run a train on her.
But like this chapter, the last chapter and the first chapter have like strong fairy tale vibes of like, Little Red Riding Hood going to visit grandma, or and like these girls going on these little journeys and running into trouble. And
okay, so hold on. What happens after that is like, the killer shows up and he pretends to be like a guy who's staying in another room. He offers her to give her a ride back. She finds the magazine. There's sort of this running motif of him cutting out the faces of the women he's killed in the magazine after he's killed them. So like, there's a magazine with just like, the women that he's killed with their faces cut out of the magazine. So there's like this hole that runs through the magazine, like that fucking that Caterpillar Kids book, whatever it's called. Mm-hmm. And then
that was my least. It was one of my least favorite parts of the film, because I felt like the fact that he just had that magazine sitting in the back seat. Just like for all to see, and only just at that moment when he steps out to go use the restroom does she look back and see that the magazine is there and look through it, and And then when he gets back in the car, like he then sort of like sees her nervous, and he looks in the back seat and sees that she's been fingering his magazine. Like I felt like that was a little too on the nose, lazy. Like they could have at least like kind of like put it in a backpack or something that she rifles through, or just like to leave it out was lazy.
Yeah, like, or if she doesn't, maybe they set it up where it's like she doesn't trust the guy, and then when he maybe it's like he says that he's like a cop or something, and then she goes through his bag to look for identification or something, go through his wallet, like, and then stumbles upon the magazine. Maybe it's something like that. But in any case, it turns into this thing where she jumps out of the car and he's chasing her. Whatever. Hey, would you? Okay, fine. I won't kill you if you take off your clothes and let me make love to you right here. And she's like, okay, fine, I'll do it. He's like, I knew you were a whore. You deserve to die. Then next thing you know, he's chasing her around. She throws a rock, breaks his glasses. This gives her enough of an upper hand to get back to the car, where there's a knife laying across like the front bench seat of this car. I don't know where that knife came from. Maybe
he I think there was some point where he pulled it out to threaten her with it, and then I guess at some point when he went to go chase her, he left it there.
Don't make excuses for this movie. That's a misstep from the movie. Why is there a knife in the front seat? Yeah. If you're a killer, the one thing you're not going to forget is your knife. But anyways, the point is that she ends up killing this guy, and then the movie ends with just this guy being dead and her standing there in the desert.
But I liked that killer. I thought he was very interesting. He was an interesting killer. He had a good look.
I don't know, like, really, because like, this is going against kind of what you usually say. Like, I found him just to be kind of very.
I thought he was very
one-dimensional.
I thought he was a lot more interesting than the 90210 killer.
No, I don't agree at all. I mean, in terms
like
of
at least I sort of felt like this guy had motivation. Like, okay, I have this obsession with these naked women and I want to kill them. The other guy just seemed to be like, sort of like, whoops, I killed somebody. Like,
yeah,
he didn't even seem to have any motivation at all.
I completely disagree. What
was his motivation for in Hollywood 90208 then?
He's just
didn't have any.
Yeah, it relates. Sure, it does. It relates. I mean, I haven't seen that movie in ages, but it relates to this something that happened in his childhood where he like let his brother die or something. Like they go through this a lot. Yeah, exactly. Shrug your shoulders.
My brother died, so I have to kill people. Come on, man.
So let's replace it with Centerfold girls, where the fucking the motivation is there's a magazine. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, he's got good motivation. He doesn't like the girls in the magazine. Like, it's like how is that any better?
But the motivation is sexual, which is a motivation for killers. Like, and especially like women who are famous and also attractive and sexual, like they don't get killed, they don't get stalked. I mean,
the motivation, like, okay, sure. The motivation
happens all the time.
Well, does it really? Like, I mean, it happens.
And show me
sometimes.
show me the real life story where somebody's like, oh, my brother died, so now I'm on a killing rampage. Like, that never happens.
Yeah, I mean, like some sort of weird, like, how do you say that? Kind of like just some sort of weird unresolved like childhood trauma like leads to all sorts of problems. Like, I mean, so what are you saying that the motivation is? That a magazine exists and that anybody who looks at a magazine, like, that you're not, by showing me a magazine, you're not giving me motivation, you know? Like,
the motivation, like I said, its motivation is some sort of weird sexual obsession,
I guess,
and
maybe,
and conflict within himself, where he's both like he wants to fuck these women, but at the same time he hates himself for being.
They don't say that in the movie. That's not in the movie.
What do you mean they don't say that in the movie? They don't have to say it in the movie.
You have to speculate on all that.
Like, you have speculation. That's just tradition. It's just like serial killer 101.
Cliche. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. So it's kind of just a cliche kind of movie.
You could say it's cliche, but it's not. It makes sense.
No,
not like not the other movie. That doesn't make sense at all.
I think it does. I think that that
Hollywood 9028 is a bad serial killer movie. It's a good movie about Los Angeles. It's a bad movie about serial killers. Centerfold Girls is a good movie about. I'm not going to say it's like a great movie about serial killers, but it's a more entertaining movie about serial killers.
I think the only problem with Hollywood, the only problem that you're outlining with Hollywood 9028 is how it's being billed, like how it's being advertised. You know, I don't think anyone who made that movie called it a serial killer movie. I think that woman wanted to make a movie about something, and then people.
Well, they did change it was when it came out. I don't know who changed it, but it was promoted as like the Hillside Strangler movie. Yeah,
and in England, I've mentioned this a number of times, but in England, in the UK, it was released as Twisted Throat, which I always thought was a great title.
And I'm sure like you know, if it was a movie that was promoted as just like, hey, this is about like a struggling Hollywood cameraman, nobody's going to go see that movie.
Nobody.
But you make a movie about like, oh, this guy's a sadistic serial killer who's going around killing women. Suddenly, everybody's going to go see it. So,
I feel like this is not a good comparison. Like, you know, don't get me wrong. I think that, like, honestly, I like The Centerfold Girls. I think it's a good movie, and I do recommend it. But I think very obviously, the least interesting thing about this film is the killer. Like the first segment, that whole thing with those hippies and stuff, is way more involving than what the fuck that killer's doing. Just shows up at the end and cuts her throat, and that fucking guy, the old man with the boner, like, and the whole sort of the sequence in the third segment where with the sailors and you know, it just kind of it's for me, this movie, I feel, is way more interesting when it's talking about just how people you think you can trust just turn against you, and it makes you feel kind of distrustful and scared just to try to live a life and be a good person. You know, like that to me is when the movie shines. Like when the killer shows up, I kind of say, okay, well, we have to go through the motions of this fucking thing because this is a serial killer movie, I guess. But it really is the least interesting thing about the film. Even the deaths and the violence are not even that great. It's just like, you know, throwing strawberry.
They're pretty basic. But there are like it's more of the emotional moments. Like one of my favorite scenes is when, in the first one where I think it was the first one where the guy, like after the girl gets attacked and they put the girl in a room, like Aldo Ray puts the girl in a room and then he leaves, and then the serial killer's like in the room next door in some sort of motel, and then he comes out and he's like checking the door to go in and kill her, and then Aldo Ray comes back. He's like, hey, what are you doing? Can I help you? He's like, oh, right. Sorry, I thought this was my room, and then he goes back to his room, and I thought like that's a really great moment, which again lends like it. So when Aldo Ray decides to rape her, like you think like, oh, this is a good guy, like he's actually like he's very protective and he's like looking out for her, and so when he actually turns on her, that I think like made that scene even better.
Yeah, that's like when in the remake of I Spit on Your Grave, when you find out the cop is actually the worst rapist of all, you know. But yeah, like overall, I mean, like for me, yeah, I mean that it's a recommend, but it's like marginal. Like I say that movie is definitely a 3 out of 5 for me because I really do think that the first sequence is like, you can't take your eyes off it. It's horrifying, and it's nice to see a movie kind of be able to do that. But at the same time, there's sort of a pretty good like sense of keeping it I hate using this word, but keeping it kind of tasteful. Like it doesn't feel trashy or stupid. It feels like well made and well filmed and
I wonder if that first sequence had been made
movie?
into the or just like they moved that to the last one because they really set this tone of like you can't trust anyone, everyone's a piece of shit, everyone's going to stab you in the back. So when you see the second one, but also mostly the third chapter, like the scene with the sailors and everything else, you're already sort of like prepared for betrayal. You're prepared for the characters to be pieces of shit who so I feel like that in a way, like because the first chapter is so good, it undermines the rest of the film.
You know what they should have done? I mean, hindsight is 20/20. I think that oftentimes and it really does feel like this, a film like this feels like something that people just kind of threw together. I mean, even in terms of, we don't really have a script, but we have like 3 stories that we can kind of maybe tie together with sort of this loose kind of killer thing.
But I actually kind of liked that as like a anthology thread of like each victim being its own individual story.
Right.
And
I think,
you definitely need, I think, if you're going to do that, you have to make sure that each story is, especially as it goes, like equal to or better than the previous one. But I don't know if I've ever seen that done before.
Yeah, I can't think of it off the top of my head. What I was going to say though is
I thought that was very clever.
What if it's like the middle portion is just about the killer. The middle portion is like where we will follow him around a little more and get to know what he's kind of doing. Right. Because that's what I feel is missing. Like I don't think this killer's all that great. When you say to me, this is a great guy, he's really interesting, he's got a great look, I'm like, well, I mean, he doesn't look so bad. He's got some fucking nice wingtips on.
Saddle shoes.
Right, okay.
But I liked that he was able to sort of blend in as like a normal dude. And so like when he would approach these women, they would wind up trusting him. Like he just had a very, like he just seemed very unintimidating, unassuming look that he was able to make work towards his own benefit.
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying, I think, is true technically. Like, especially as far as the first segment shows. But I think that instead of his look making him less intimidating and easier to kind of get into the lives of these women by fooling them, I think it's more about fooling the people who kind of stand between him and the girl, like being able to kind of convince the hotel owner or convince like the fucking the fucking guy at the in the first sequence, the horny dad guy. Oh, it wasn't my room. It was another room. Oh, oh, okay, cool. I believe you. Like it's more about like because the girls don't. The girls seem to have like apprehension, and it's towards him. He never really 100% fools them. They're always kind of on their heels when he's around. But as far as the other people are concerned in the film, they're just kind of like, yeah, sure, take her. Go ahead. Do whatever you want. But that's. What do you give this film in terms of a rating?
I'm going to give it 3.5. I think it's worth seeing. I think, especially like movies from that era, low budget, drive-in serial killer movie. I think it works. I think it's interesting. I think it has ideas in it that I've not seen before. I thought it was quite refreshing.
Yeah, it's a good movie, and it's a recommend from me. I just think that it's a little bit of a it feels like it feels like these guys just kind of put together this thing from what they had available to them and did the best with what they had,
But I mean, you just defined all of like low budget filmmaking.
No, because because I'm talking even about like the script. Like they didn't really even have like it didn't the story doesn't hold together. It doesn't feel like something that was written in a way that they knew from the beginning was going to be an anthology like this. It felt like just kind of a mishmash of ideas, and they just thought, okay, well, let's just put this together and somehow make it work, and it kind of does, but not really. I guess just what I'm saying is the from the script writing stage, it just feels like something that's just been thrown together with not a lot of real concern about making it tight or making it kind of fit together or having the story. I mean, listen, this movie let me put it this way. This movie very easily didn't have to be a anthology. If they had just taken those three ideas and they had spent a little more time on the script, it could have just been a film that just had, like something like Rape Squad, where you have like different characters and you have this one killer and it's different locations and different things happening. But they didn't even want to put in the time to kind of make it into something cohesive. So they were like, okay, let's just do an anthology, and they section it off into story 1, story 2, story 3. And to me, that reads as like just a lack of effort, or a lack of or just kind of a lack of thinking that doing that would be important. But whatever. This isn't even really a complaint. It gets a 3 from me. That's a recommend. Go fucking watch the goddamn movie. Who gives a shit?
All right. Well, I guess that's it.
Yeah. Let's talk about Redneck Zombies now. Okay. One of the very first.
This should only take a couple minutes.
Hey, how dare you? I'll talk about your gay ass movie. You talk about my gay ass movie. The fucking.
It's just a joke. Jesus Christ.
This is not a joke to me. This podcast is no joke to me. The Redneck Zombie is one of the very first movies to be shot on video. I think that's how it's billed on, or at least that's what's written about it on Wikipedia. But it's just basically about this group of campers, and they go on a sort of a survivalist kind of trip, and they end up kind of being around when a canister, a barrel of toxic nuclear waste falls into the hands of some rednecks who use it to make liquor as a still. They use it as the raw material to distill alcohol from, and then they send it all around town, and everybody in all this redneck town kind of gets drunk, and they transform into zombies. Really like sort of messy, kind of sloppy, kind of melty zombies at first, and then at the very end, it's mostly just guys with like pancake makeup and black around their eyes, yeah, I mean, and it's important to note too that the tone of this movie is pretty comedic. It's supposed to be like a comedy, but there's a lot of like gore and sort of sloppy violence in it. This is one of the first movies that I saw that kind of made me really appreciate how important it is for gore to be messy, like how important it is how important it is to make a huge big mess when you do something like this. And it actually, if you make a big enough of a mess, it actually can distract issues of budget and issues of kind of plot. The plot of this movie, the writing in this movie is better than the Centerfold Girls. Absolutely.
I just disagree.
In terms of just like how this story moves from beginning to middle and end, it's structured better. I mean, I don't think I can argue about
that's different. Structure is different than. I mean, I should say that I'm not a huge, like, there's something about shot on video movies
I generally hate it. I generally cannot stand it.
I just have a really difficult time connecting with. But I feel like I I can watch them for just some sort of novelty, or just sort of like, oh, it's just like, it's almost like a time capsule. Oh no!
Hey, cute.
Oh, what's this?
Cat just jumped on Johnny.
Okay.
Did it turn off your recording?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. So like it's like a novelty, like it's just sort of like, oh, look how people used to live in the 80s. And sort of interesting in that way, but it's really hard for me to like enjoy like a full feature shot on video. And I mean the gore here is definitely interesting because there's plenty of like messy, sloppy gore, lots of like of those like balloons popping under the makeup as people transform. But as you said, it's like it's meant to be a comedy, but it's not very funny.
Oh, I think it's very funny.
I didn't find it funny at all. I didn't, and sort of like the sort of, oh, let's just redo the scene, the hitchhiker scene from Texas Chainsaw here, and then we'll redo the scene from Day of the Dead here.
What was the Day of the Dead scene?
Isn't there like a scene where like all the zombies like they grab the guy and they start like pulling him apart, just soldier dude, right, Day of the Dead.
I thought you meant like an actual scene, but you just mean like a gag, like a gore gag they did.
Yeah, or like Night of the Living Dead. Like it seems like watching the zombies sort of march all along the landscape. There was a lot of like just complete rips from Night of the Living Dead. Which, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, I guess. But it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't make me feel like, oh, wow, this is great. That's the scene from Texas. Oh, cool. They remember Texas. I remember Texas Chainsaw too.
Yeah.
Oh, they saw, I guess they must have watched Night of the Living Dead too. That's great. I saw that movie.
This movie was made by people just like me. Maybe I can make a movie.
Yeah, we both like the same stuff.
I wonder if I called these guys if they would pick up the phone and talk to me.
I bet you they would. There probably is like a phone number on the fucking DVD.
Yeah. Okay. Well, fair enough. There definitely are some homages in the film. I don't think that they're for me they're pretty forgettable. Like those aren't things that I kind of zero in on in terms of what I remember about the film. Like but
the way the homages are done, they're sort of like, ha ha ha, look at us, we're doing Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or ha 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 ha.
Well, they do the Texas Chainsaw Massacre with what does the guy have? He has he's using shaving cream or something. Like, I forget. I think that's what it is. Like, he has the razor blade, but he's also got shaving cream, and he's like trying to shave them or something, and then they kick him out. Yeah, I mean it's supposed to be a joke. I'm not going to sit here and defend that fucking stupid part of that movie, the stupid part of that stupid movie. But I mean, okay. And also another thing too is that I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you that this movie's funny if you don't think it's funny. Because if you don't think it's funny, then there's nothing I can do for you. But all I can tell you is that part where that soldier guy is driving that Jeep and he's got that dog wearing sunglasses next to him, and he's listening to the preacher on the radio, and the preacher's just blasting N-bombs.
Actually, you know what I thought the funniest thing in the movie, you just made me remember, was the homosexual soldier that everybody hates. They kept telling him to shut up.
Oh, okay. Because there's a lot of like making fun of gays in this movie.
Right. There's also Ellie Mae, who's some guy with a beard, but he's not as funny as the soldier gay.
I agree. Did you know that the guy who played Ellie Mae is actually the director of the film, Pericles Loons? Yeah. But
is that his real name?
Yeah. Well, you look at the credits of this movie, and it's like, Andrew dog shit. like there's just they just have like
funny.
Yeah, they just have like
the credits are the funniest part.
Yeah. but I mean, there's that. There's also like I think honestly, man, I think that there's a lot of great joke. I mean, it's all just jokey dialogue and a lot of like just like one-liners. I mean, I can't even think of an example. Just something like oh Christ, yeah. So this is some good radio right here. But like just
I can't help you because I don't know what you're talking about.
I just think so much of the dialogue between the campers, not the hillbillies, but just like that group of like quote unquote normal people, the way that they speak to each other and the way that the insults that get tossed back and forth. It's very like every 5 seconds there's something like it's very comedy television kind of writing, but it's kind of immature and dirty. A lot of the time, and I just I don't know. I thought it was funny. Like I mean, I'm sitting there and I'm kind of like I'm not cry laughing, but I'm sitting there just kind of like exhaling strongly occasionally because something. Yeah, I'll kind of do that. I'll kind of go like sitting on my couch, and that's really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that sound. The part where the guy does acid and then he has to do the autopsy on the zombie in the cave. Do you remember that part or did you fall asleep?
I feel like I probably was asleep. I watched this movie twice. I fell asleep both times.
Yeah.
Like I tried to I missed like the first time I watched it, I think I missed like 30 minutes in the middle of it. And so I went back last night and tried to rewatch that and
you fell asleep
again.
Yeah. Fair enough. I mean,
but let me just say this: I fell asleep laughing. I was so exhausted from laughing, I just passed out.
And you woke up with like a 75% hard dick. There's a part in the movie where the guy he takes acid but he's also pre-med. So he's having PMS. So he ends up being forced into doing an autopsy on the zombie, and he's like pulling out guts and hallucinating their different things. And the performance is hilarious. Like, I don't care who you are. Because, I mean, I remember seeing this movie when I was a teenager and thinking that was hilarious. And then watching it again, like, recently, just being like, it's not going to be that funny. And I was fully into it,
See, now I feel like I have to go back and, like, search for that moment. Because I missed it both times.
I'll give you the time code.
Give me the time code.
Yeah. But, I mean, there's also some pretty good, like old school like video effects, like just like almost like 2001 like like video graphics that are supposed to communicate the idea of
I remember that
tripping on acid. There's one part where like they're turning into zombies and they're kind of using this weird trails effects with footage.
Yeah, that's the part I remember.
And that's not as good as what happens later where it's just graphics, like it's just animation.
Okay.
That part is better. It's only for a small like brief period of time. Then there's that whole, I mean, fuck it. There's that whole part at the end where our main, that busted fucking weird, like just regular woman who's the star of the film.
That's like, how did she get that position? Like,
no idea.
She must have been Pericles Loon's girlfriend.
Yeah, his main squeeze. She ends up.
She made the divorce lady look like Elle Macpherson.
Yeah, exactly. Elle Macpherson. Like Raquel Welch.
She made her look like Ava Gardner.
Hubba. The fucking what do you call it? The part at the end where she's in that house, she gets taken into that house, and there's that kettle screaming, and it's just sort of this kind of gory, like just sort of house of fucking horrors kind of ending where there's just every kind of atrocity going on. Like there's also that part where those guys are in that house and they're watching
porno.
They're watching they're watching that weird porno where it's just somebody applying whipping cream to a woman's nipples.
But like there's this woman on the screen who's like playing with her tits and pushing them together, but it looks like a man's chest.
No, it
like
looks
it's sort of like it's like so androgynous, the chest, that it's just like I can't tell if this is a man's chest or a woman's chest.
Well, like I mean, by the sort of Frankenberry-esque nature of the nipples, I can tell it's a woman. But you are right.
It might be that.
it's definitely not a very ample chest.
Might be
there's
that
another
gay soldier's chest.
there's another house that they go to where there are two guys there who have like a woman held hostage, and she's and the guy goes to deliver the alcohol, and they're watching footage of
Chicks being
of having their beaks burnt so that they don't,
Yeah.
I guess, peck each other to death in close quarters. But I mean, I don't know, like stuff like incorporating video like that, and I just think it's just more. The movie is a lot more creative and innovative than it needs to be. You know, like I've seen plenty of straight to video. Well, I hardly watch any of these things straight through because I don't think any of them are worth watching. I don't think most of them are worth watching. They tend to just be kind of ugly and unartful. Whereas I think that this Redneck Zombies is one of the only ones where I feel like the people who made it put a lot of like effort and creativity into it, and I think it's
and I have to agree because I definitely was thinking as I was awake and watching the movie that there were certain moments, whether it was sort of like the way things are filmed, whether he was sort of like taking a moment to film the environment or like ducks, birds flying in the sky, those little sort of inserts, it made me feel like, oh, if this guy actually had access to a real movie camera and made this with a movie camera, like he's approaching it as if this is a real movie, and he's thinking about it as if it was a real movie, but because it's on video, it feels like this. It's almost like, even though he's like making all these moves that would have happened if he was making it on film, it just felt like, it just made me think like, he seems like he's a smart filmmaker, but he's doing this on video, so it's not as good.
Maybe it's because I saw the movie at that time when I first saw this movie. I used to go over to my friend's house, and we must have been like 15 or 16, and my friend just had like parents who didn't care if he smoked weed in his room. And because we were broke and teenagers, we would just smoke poppers, which were not like the poppers that gays do, like the thing that you crack the pill and sniff it and it makes
I do those.
Yeah. It's not like those ones, the ones that you're familiar with. It's just like, it's just basically making like a fucking, you get like a pop bottle and then you get like a piece of like antenna from a radio and you use that as like the mouth of a pipe, and you're just basically doing like these one hit kind of bong hits, and the reason why you do them is because not a lot of smoke escapes. There's a way to, like, when you exhale, you're exhaling through like a toilet paper roll with dryer sheets on the end of it, so that when you're done smoking the weed, nothing is actually escaping into like the environment. It's all in the bottle, then in your lungs, and then being exhaled through like these dryer sheets. So when his parents would come down, they knew we were smoking weed, but like the room just smelled like laundry. So like they were kind of like, whatever.
Like, are you smoking dryer sheets?
Yeah. Are you guys doing laundry in here?
You guys smoking bounce?
I remember seeing like a lot of like Bloodsucking Freaks was one, and also Redneck Zombies was another that I saw for the first time under these circumstances of being like really, really high, smoking these poppers, as we called them. And I remember just like really, really liking those two movies in particular. And we watched Beware Children at Play as well, which I recognized as being, there's another shot on video film that just stinks. It doesn't have.
What is it called?
It's called Beware Children at Play. It's like a trauma, not a trauma production, but like a trauma release. But all this to say, I look at Redneck Zombies and I see right through the video. Like that quality of image doesn't it. I don't even see it anymore, just because I've seen it like I don't know what it is. There's something about that film that where the video aspect of it, the shot on video aspect of it, doesn't affect me or doesn't inhibit me
That's because you're smoking dryer sheets.
Yeah.
Brain's all fucked up.
It's true. So okay, listen. If you're a guy who likes to smoke chemicals in his friend's basement bedroom, this movie is definitely for you. I still get inspired by doing like sort of like a murder scene and kind of like showing like fucking birds flying in the distance, or like incorporating like some sort of industrial footage video, like to add sort of weight or meaning to something else. Like those are things that I would still do. What else is going on in this film? I mean, the dog, like putting sunglasses on a golden retriever or a German Shepherd. I mean, that's something that I can always get behind. I don't know, man. Like it's gonna be
probably do that in like Air Bud too, right?
Yeah, probably, or maybe one of the sequels. No, that definitely seems like something that they probably would have thought of in the first iteration of Air Bud,
or Beethoven or something. I can see there being a sunglass scene in one of the Beethoven movies.
I don't think so.
One of the 7 Beethoven movies.
I don't think so. You know what? For me, that doesn't seem to make sense for Beethoven.
You know for a fact.
I don't know for a fact, but I definitely put money I definitely would put money on the notion that there was not any instance in Beethoven 1 or Beethoven 2, Beethoven 2, where Beethoven had sunglasses on ever.
Call in.
Yeah. Let us know.
Fans.
Let us know. Let us know in the after show.
Yeah. Right in the comments your favorite dog sunglasses scene.
Yeah. So anyways, yeah, let's wrap it up. Bottom line, yeah, sure, it's a shot on video movie. Some of you are going to watch it and you're going to say, why am I watching this shit? It looks ugly. It's shot on video. You're not going to be able to get past that. I personally can, and I think that there's a lot beyond that initial displeasure. If you give this movie a chance, I think you'll find a very creative and surprisingly well-written movie that I personally think is quite funny. And I give this movie a 3, the same as I give the Centerfold Girls.
Well, I think, I definitely feel like out of, I haven't seen a lot of shot on video films, but out of all of them that I've seen, this is probably the most artful and has fairly impressive gore, but I don't really think it's very funny. I can't, as I said, I can't really connect with shot on video stuff. And it's acting's bad. The story's kind of dull. So I'm going to give it like 1.5 eggplants.
Yep. That makes sense. This is the guy who didn't like Perfect Blue either.
Look, there's been stuff I've liked.
Yeah, I know. There's plenty of stuff you like.
Look, okay, go see the Redneck Zombies and judge for yourself. Tell us who's right.
Yeah.
In the comments.
Tell us who's right.
If you like this, if you like shot on video 80s zombie movies, this is for you.
Did you ever see?
This is probably the best of that type of movie. This is the best one.
Did you ever see Truth or Dare? Not the Madonna one, but it's called Truth or Dare: A Critical Madness. I think it's Tim Ritter film where it's like this guy,
the guy from Three's Company.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah, it's the guy from Three's Company.
No,
it's not the guy from Three's Company. Is it Tim Ritter? Or is it? It's John Ritter, right, from Three's Company.
Oh yeah, Three's Company, John Ritter.
Yeah, so it's not John Ritter, it's Tim Ritter. But it's another shot on video film where this guy, this is a good one too. I mean, this I think is less authentically good as Redneck Zombies, but I think it's like as enjoyable, if not more enjoyable, on an ironic level. But it's a movie about this guy who catches his wife cheating on him, and this drives him to go on like a killing spree, and it's Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to spoil it for you, but it's like it's a good time. It's a pretty fun movie. You'll definitely like this more than Redneck Zombies. I'm just trying to think of like shot on video films that
It's from like the 80s?
yeah, absolutely. Or maybe the very early 90s. Truth or Dare: A Critical Madness.
The terrible title.
Well, the original title is Truth or Dare, but I think that in more recent times, because of the Madonna movie, they had to add some sort of thing to differentiate it. And in fact, it is Truth or Dare is what it was released as back in 1986. So the Critical Madness was a fucking add-on. But yeah, this is something I think is worth watching. I mean, we're talking. When I say worth watching, I mean we're talking in terms of like shot on video junk, and there's so much of that it gets shot, and there's only a few things that really are worth watching, and of those things, they don't even really compare to real films. But I don't know. I still think that there's ideas in them that can be mined, or something where you can get inspired by it, or you can get charmed by it. I know I try to keep an open mind with this stuff, but by and large, I'd say that I'm definitely not a shot on video guy. I think that it's mostly, as you said before, like difficult to connect with. But Redneck Zombies, a lot can be said for smoking dryer sheets and plastic in your friend's basement when you're 15. And
so if you're going to watch this film, sprinkle some California Gold into a bounce dryer sheet, roll it up, and smoke it. You'll love it.
Lick it and
it'll enhance the movie.
Smoke it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's call that an episode. That's
I give this movie 4 dryer sheets, but I give it 1.5 eggplants.
1.5 eggplants. I give it 3. 3 eggplants for motherfucking what's it called? The Centerfold girls.
Centerfold girls.
Johnny gives it 3.5, and that's our final word.
Thank you.